This is how you crochet a moss stitch twisted headband. I'm using a 5mm hook and regular medium weight acrylic yarn. I started with 28 chains and I'm using the moss stitch for the entirety of this headband. If you'd like to go back to the stitch instructions, you can tap on the comment, or if you would prefer to watch the extended version, I will have that tagged in the comments of this video. The moss stitch is a very beginner friendly stitch. All you need to know how to do is a single crochet, a chain, and how to work into the chain spaces. The extended version is going to show you how to crochet the first 3 rows in its entirety, because you only repeat the second and third row for the rest of the fabric, as well as an extended version on how to fold and sew your ends together to get the twisted effect. You can make some adjustments to this pattern. If you find your stitches are too tight or your headband feels too stiff, you can always go up a hook size or switch to a lightweight yarn. But the finished dimensions you're looking for are a 5 1/4 inch width and a 20-inch length. Now to get the twisted effect, I'm going to fold it like this, and then I'm going to use a running stitch to sew the pieces together. The most important part here is that your sides do line up with each other and that you are putting the half point of the width at the edge of the seam. And I'm using the running stitch to sew them together, and that is just going up in one direction and then down into the next stitch, up into the next stitch, down into the next stitch. And I am trying to pick up the stitches from every single piece that is folded together. Once I get to the end, I'm going to weave it in, cut it off, and now we're going to twist it out. The key to a good twist is to keep the seam vertical as you're folding it to the inside of the headband, and then opposite sides of the twist are going to either pop up or pop in. And that's it. If you like these kind of videos, be sure to like and follow and let me know what you think. This is the extended version of the moss stitch twisted headband part 1. I'm going to start with a single crochet in the second chain from the hook, then I'm going to chain 1, skip 1 chain, and put a single crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip another chain, put a single crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, put a single crochet into the next. And I'm going to repeat that all the way until the end, and my last stitch is going to be a single crochet into the very last chain. If you want to see what the finished headband will look like, you can follow the comment at the beginning of this video or in the caption. If you like these kind of close-up stitch tutorials, be sure to like and follow. And if you like these extended version on project tutorials, please let me know in the comments so that I can be sure to include them on my future videos. But the rest of this video is just going to be the end of the foundation row, and part 2 for the second row is going to be linked in the comments. This is the extended version of the moss stitch twisted headband part 2. I'm going to start with a single crochet into the first stitch, then I'm going to put a single crochet into the first gap. After that, I'm going to chain 1, add a single crochet into the next gap, chain 1 again, add a single crochet into the next gap, and I'm going to repeat that all the way until the end of the row. And the last 2 stitches are going to be a single crochet into the last gap and followed by a single crochet into the last stitch. If you missed part 1 or you would like to see the finished headband, you can follow the comment at the beginning of the video or in the caption, and it'll take you back to where you need to go. And if you like these close-up stitch tutorials, be sure to like and follow. I post them every single day on my page. The rest of this video is just going to finish row 2, and then part 3 for row 3 will be in the comments. Happy hooking! This is how you crochet a moss stitch twisted headband part 3. I'm going to start again by putting a single crochet into the first stitch. Then I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to skip that first single crochet and work into the first chain 1 gap from the previous row. Then I'm going to chain 1 again and put the next single crochet into the next gap, and we're just going to repeat that all the way down until the end. And our last stitch is going to be a single crochet into the last gap, then chain 1, and then we're going to put a single crochet into the very last stitch, and then we'll have another chain for our turning chain for row 4. Row 4 is going to be worked just like row 2. Row 5 will be just like row 3, and we're just going to alternate those back and forth until our fabric reaches 20 inches. I didn't count my rows before I sewed them together, but I think it was about 80 rows for me, because it took me about 4 to 5 rows to get an inch. If you haven't seen the other parts, or you would like to see what the finished headband looks like, you can head on over to my page, or you can follow the comment at the beginning of this video or in the caption, and part 4 will be in the comments of this video. This is how to crochet a moss stitch twisted headband part 4. So this is what your fabric should look like. The dimensions are 20 inches in length and then 5.25 inches for the width. If you adjusted your hook size or your yarn weight, the dimensions should still be the same. Then I'm just going to cut my yarn and pull the loop through so that the end piece comes out. And next I'm going to fold it in a way that the ends both look at each other, and that'll help you make sure that it doesn't unintentionally get twisted. Now for the twisted part, we're going to grab the end pieces and fold them in half. And then when you're lining them up, you want to make sure that the end points of those folds stay on the edges of the seam. But the sewing is going to happen in part 5. This is how to crochet the moss stitch twisted headband part 5. In part 4, we went over how to fold this little baby, and now we're going to sew the edges together. Please keep in mind that this is at 2x speed. I do not sew that fast. If I did, I think I'd mess up. So, there's that. This is called a running stitch. So we're going to go up and down, but we're not going backwards. We're not making any kind of a zigzag. We're not going over. We're just feeding the yarn through the center, and then we're giving it a gentle tug after every single time. I'm trying to minimize the bumpiness that the twist is going to cause. I also try to make sure that I'm picking up no more than 2 loops. You could probably get away with just picking up 1 loop, but 2 loops is a little bit safer. Anything more than 2 loops, if you pick up an entire stitch for a row, might cause a little bit of bumpiness. So the only other thing to make sure is that the edges stay the same on the far left and far right. Sometimes the little folds can shift, and that can cause it to be a little weird, but fortunately, because the seam is going to hide on the inside of the headband, it is not the end of the world. And it's just one of those things where practice makes perfect, and once you figure out what works for you, it'll be a lot easier. I will say that on the very last stitch, I generally don't include the center parts. I just go from the outside. I don't know if that makes sense. But now I'm just going to weave it in just however I like it. Whatever seems convenient. It doesn't have to be the prettiest. I'm just trying to make sure it doesn't come unraveled. And then the slip, this one is from the slip knot. You can just cut it off. It's not going to come undone. And in part 6, I'll show you how to unfold it all the way so that it doesn't look like that. Because this is how to crochet the moss stitch twisted headband part 6. This is the last part, and I'm really just going over how to fold out the twist. So the biggest thing is to keep the seam straight. You don't want it tilted or going sideways. And then to take each section and have opposite sides pointing either out or into the twist. And that's it. If you like these kind of stitch tutorials, be sure to like and follow. I post them every single day on my page. If you'd like to request something, just leave it in a comment on any of my videos. Bye!